Hello everybody and welcome to Starbase. Starbase has just come out of closed alpha and gone public, and it's not a cheap game. It's been awaited for a very long time. I've had it on my wish list for at least a year, and it's finally made it to public alpha. Now I have to give a disclaimer here. I have already tried playing the game over the last couple of days, and as you can see, I got to start again. So why do we have to start again? Well, there are a lot of bugs, unfortunately, and if your game doesn't keep crashing on you, then what you're going to find is things that are supposed to work just don't. And in my case, it wouldn't work. I decided I would have a go at logging out and logging back in again. Unfortunately, I was in the easy build hall down there when I did it. Now I'll explain when we get there the problem, but in simplistic terms, when you're building your ship, you're in a private instance of the game. See, players are very, very bored and messing around because there's nothing better to do. Yeah, you're in a private instance of the game, and in a private instance, if you log out, there seems to be no record of your ship, so consequently I don't have a ship. So we're going to try and get away from these fools, and pressing F8 apparently will restart my tutorial. So for your benefit, obviously you can remap all the keys however you want. I've already got mine set up. Basically, my keys I've left as default. I have made a couple of changes. For instance, the crouch key, I cannot be doing crouch on control, so I've remapped that to C, which means I've had to remap C to something else, because that's also used for snapping. Now, we're actually walking at the moment. We can hold the shift key down to run, and it does seem to be a toggle, so you press it once and you run, press it again, you stop running. I think you can change that in the controls as well. First place we have to go is to the demolition. Yeah, we got to demolish things. That's okay, it's kind of good fun. So it points you to where you need to go. If you want to get there quicker, you can use your jetpack. Jetpack will pull you down to the ground unless you press G, which will switch off your magnetic boots. And it looks like our ship is already demolishing itself for some reason. Okay, so we need to pick up the buzzsaw, and we can obviously go and get one. There we go. We'll have to do this in order to get rid of the tooltips. So left mouse button destroys, and right mouse button cuts. And we want to cut. Look for these weak points here, nicely highlighted for us. Just cut through those. And you'll see the bits disappearing off as you cut chunks off. And that's that bit, and then we're looking for weak points in this. Less down the middle. Hopefully all that should disappear. There we go. So hopefully that should give us a tick on the demolish the Vassima Vanette. There we go. Now we've got to demolish the pincer. Same thing again, just look for the weak points. Cut through it all. Probably a bit of a big chunk, but we'll give it a go. You don't have to cut where it highlights, as long as you cut through the whole thing, it will have the same effect. Just in somewhere. So if you think you've cut through everything and it still won't go, then you've got too big a chunk, so you need to chop some more bits off. There we go. And you just keep cutting away until the whole thing disappears. Go, that's that one. And then last one. This one I think is a bit easier. Very satisfying glass shattering noise there. You can reach all the things that you need to be cutting from standing on the ground, but if there is a bit that you're having problems with, just press your thrusters and click on G, and then you can just hover around the top there. If you particularly wanted to get at something higher up, it's one way to do that. Okay, this bit's still a bit big. There we go. Okay. That should be the Empire Sparta. Now we have to go to the mining job site, which is over there, but you have to go all the way around to get there, as I found out last time. So just while before we get to that, let me just show you very quickly. If you go into inventory, you've got all your tools here. Obviously I've now got another buzzsaw, which I don't need, so we can just get rid of that. Or maybe it won't let us drop it here. No, it doesn't want us to drop it here. Okay, so you can see I've already got one. Actually, that's the temp one anyway. There you go. You can get rid of the temp one. So I've put these tools on my hotbar, and I've packed some tools into my legs. That just helps to clear up this a little bit. As you can see, we've got rather a lot of these anyway. And I put them on the hotbar. You can just quickly grab them by pressing the whichever button. And obviously, to get rid of it, you just press the button again. So that just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, let us go all the way around here. Now you can see the stamina bar in the bottom right is dropping as I'm running. So when that runs out of stamina, we'll stop running. Like that. So So now that we're walking again, it will come back up again. Okay, now they're going to teach us how to mine things. Now again, this blue box here is an instance, a private instance. So although we just saw somebody run in here, we don't need to worry about it because this now is just us. So we're in this private instance. So come over here, connect to one of these. Just press the, for me it's the F key. You, I think it's probably the E key. And then you want the good bits out of these asteroids. So we're going to smack them with the right mouse button, get all the good bits out, and if there's one that we can't reach, then we can just smack it with the left mouse button, get rid of all the covering material, and then we can get the good bits out of the middle. The shell material there is also used in some of the construction, so later on when you get to mining asteroids you will want to collect some of that, but obviously being the shell, it's very, very common. That seems to be all there is of that, so chisel this away to get rid of it. And wait for the next one. And you go through doing a few of these. You can see in the top left hand corner it's telling me I've got 3 of 10 collected. And didn't seem to be much on that one, did there? Nope, just chisel this in half. And hopefully that'll go. There we go. So it automatically sucks the bits you don't need into the collection area. Just anything that looks like the outer crust, just get rid of. See if there's anything buried inside it. Sometimes there is, usually there isn't. It would be handy if it told you what these materials were as you were mining them, because later on, when you need a specific ore, you're just going to be going out and chiseling every asteroid you find because you've no idea what it is that you actually need. So a little, some numbers coming up in the bottom of the screen as you're mining perhaps would be useful. I believe you can, if you press the U key, you can click on, or bring up your universal tool, you can then click on material, and this will tell you it's valkite ore, which may or may not be helpful. But, again, don't see anything of any use on this one. So maybe it just wants us to collect some of this ore. Well, that counted, so I can do. So again here, if you press U, we've already selected the material on the last time, so we can see it's agitite and charodium. So which is which, we don't know, but we can guess that agitite is the shell and charodium is the red material in the middle. Last one, and again it looks like we've got one with nothing in it. No, nothing at all on that one, but it's still counted. Okay, so now we've got to go to the repair job site, and the arrow is showing us over there. We can bet your life you're going to come back this way to do it. So I'm going to press G, and I'm going to jetpack. And that way I can cut corners. Yeah, I didn't disconnect from the station with my umbilical cord, so that's the noise you just heard as I went out of its range. Okay, again through the blue barrier, that player disappears because we're now in a private instance. The first thing to do, connect to your resource bridge. This is simply because you don't have enough storage space in your inventory, so you need to connect to that to give it the storage space that's needed. So the universal tool I just showed you is the U button. The blueprints for the ship can be viewed in the blueprints tab. So you press U and then you press tab so that you free off your mouse. We're already on blueprints. So here you can see it's saying these are broken, these items here. You can click on body durability in there, and if I just come out of that menu, you can very obviously see all the red bits. Those are the bits that are broken. Okay, so that makes it easy. So we want to repair those parts, and to do that you'll need a tool. You can pick that one up, and again take the jetpack off. Sorry, the grav boots off, and then left mouse button, and we can repair these parts. So you have to stop clicking and then click on the next part. You can't just move from one part to the other. So you're pointing at it. You see, as I was pointing at the green bit behind it, it doesn't work. So you've got to actually press or make sure the cursor is pointing to the object itself. Okay, I think that's meant to be red anyway. That seems to be all the plates. We'll go on one more. And then these engines. Just have to make sure you're clicking on the right bit of it. There we go. You hear a definitive click when it's finished. Okay, so any more red bits anywhere? Again, we can red behind there. We can check the blueprints. That will tell us if anything is still broken. So we press U, and we can see we've still got a plate curved end and a modular ore cargo crate that's still need repairing. So strange that it doesn't actually show these as red, but there we go. So a couple of crates, that one's also broken. Click on them anyway just to make sure. And somewhere we have, I think it was a curved plate. Definitely something red showing up back there. I think that's the engine. Oh, there it is. It's for some reason just not showing up in red. Just in case getting the right part. So now we check the blueprint. We have no broken parts in the list. Okay, so it accepts that. And just to keep things tidy, what I'm going to do is switch off the durability. I think I just got there in time. Oops. And yes, there are a lot of buttons to press, so you're going to have to get used to the whole scheme. And it won't let me deselect my pick now for some reason. It won't let me deselect anything. Okay, so on to the next area. Now we get to actually spawn in our starter ship, the free one. And it still won't let me deselect. There you go up to this landing and takeoff area. Okay, so you can see I actually have two ships. Now, I don't know what the easy build ship naught is. It says that it's there, but if I check my inventory and go to ships, you can see I have easy build ship naught, but I can't do anything with it. So I don't know exactly what's going on with that. I think that's a bug that's left over from previous iterations. But obviously the one we want to select is the labourer module, and you click spawn, and then if all goes to plan, it should spawn in front of us. Now if there are a lot of players on, which inevitably there are going to be, this may take some time, and you might need to try and do it a few times, because obviously the servers are not keeping up with the demand. You can also see a myriad of ships around the station. A lot of them are players that have just logged off, leaving the ship out there. If you do that down here, it will despawn your ship, and by that I mean add it to storage. If you're lucky, it will go into storage and you'll be able to respawn it at this very place. There are a lot of, there we go, there are a lot of these spawn pads around the stations, so you can always try going to a less busy spawn pad or even a less busy station. Okay, so again, I would kind of like to get rid of my tool, but for some reason it's not going to let me. Not quite sure why that is. So when you throw this away, you're not throwing the tool away. You can see the tool is still in my hand. So I'm just taking it off my hotbar. So if you want to add them back, then you just drag and drop them there. So you can choose which tools you have. It doesn't really matter at the stage of the game because you're not really going to be using them. And you can see I've got two cutting tools anyway, so we can put that one away. I've got two of these bolt tools, so I can put that one away. And we'll probably sell those at some point. Building tool. And more than enough of the others. And need those. That gives us a little bit more space. I think I've got no. Yeah, I have got another one of those. I've already put it away. Okay, so that done. I can now deselect it. So we get into our ship in a roundabout way, and it wants us to leave the platform safely by using the small thruster, pressing up, move the ship vertically with up and down, or by pulling the lever. So obviously it wants us to go up. And now we're out of the private instance. We can accelerate with shift. Now obviously you can accelerate with shift anytime, but it's wise to kind of get out of the way of some of this debris. So we'll just point upwards somewhere. Yeah, up and down. Left and right. And I've actually changed these. By default, the left and right are on Q and E. I can't be doing with that, so I've actually swapped those around. And obviously, shift allows us to accelerate. As soon as you let go of shift, your ship stops. A bit of lag there. Okay, ship is not stopping. Now, one of the things on this ship is this cruise button here. I'm surprised it defaults to on. When I first did it, it defaulted to off. If the shift is off, the cruise is off, then when you press the shift button to go forwards, and you release the button, you will stop again. Like that. Okay, now, a couple of things they don't tell you, and hopefully we're in a reasonably safe place here where it won't despawn our ship. First of all, your generator. Use your generator very, very sparingly. You can see here we have 2 batteries, and the ship will fly on just battery power, but you'll see the batteries draining quite fast. The generator will drain your fuel, but it will recharge your battery. Your fuel is going to deplete at an enormously fast rate, and at some point you're going to have to refuel. I'll quickly go through that in a minute, but first of all, on the generator button, you want to point at it and press U. Okay, press the tab key to release your mouse and go to data. Now if this doesn't fill in anything in the fields here, then just press escape. Make sure you're pointing at the generator again, press U. Okay, so now you can see it's filled in some data in these fields here. So the button on state value defaults to 100. That means it will use 100% of its power at all times. And you don't need that. You're not going to need 100%. What you are going to need is about a third of that. I believe it can go as low as 22, but I'm going to set mine to 33, which is about a third of the power. So that means our fuel is going to last 3 times as long. Okay, so that's quite important because your fuel is limited. And if I just jump out for a second, I will show you here. This thing here is your fuel rod. That's your generator and that's your fuel rod. Those incidentally are propellant tanks. And you can take your fuel rod out by pressing the E button. So that's taken the fuel rod out completely. Put it back in again, you've either got to be very, very, very accurate, which is extremely unlikely, or you need to enable snapping. So snapping by default is the C key. I've remapped mine to the hash sign. So as you go near somewhere where it'll fit, you'll see, I don't think it'll snap anywhere else. Oh, there we go, it's trying to snap there for some reason. As you come near here, it will snap, and you press the E key again, and it's now back in place. Now, in the starter ship, you have got 4 spares. There are 2 more there, and 2 just the other side. They are not being used, they're just being stowed in these racks. So, if you run out of fuel, your fuel rod runs out, you do have spares. However, be aware that you cannot get more of those until you've researched. Pressing K gets you into the research tree. You have to research this item here. Now you can see that I have researched it. That means I can now craft it at a crafting bench. Currently I haven't done that because my ship disappeared before I got round to it. But you need to work your way down the tree. Basic tree is the best one to start with, but there are other trees here. And to research each item will cost you points, and it'll tell you, there you go, when you mouse over them. Doesn't stay very long if you move the mouse, but you can see there how many points it requires to research that. The only way you can get those points is by crafting things that you've already researched. So bear that in mind, and that's usually done in the Easy Build Center, which is over there. Next to the big green ship center is the Easy Build Center. We're not there yet, we will be getting there. Okay, meanwhile it wants us to look at bind sets. Now if we look down here and press V, you can see we have this bind set. This bind set is currently set by default. It's the bind set for the ship. You can have a different bind set for each ship. Not quite sure why you'd want to, but you can. So that's what V does. Okay, so currently we're in a safe zone. When we go into deep into an asteroid belt, it can get dangerous if you fly into an asteroid, so we need to connect a backpack to the ship's resource port when mining. So we're not at an asteroid yet, but the resource port is this thing here on the front of the ship. You just press to interact with it, and that will connect you to that port. Okay, so I need to go and get some resources. Now, I do have a lot of resources in storage, but I think it actually wants me to go and mine them. So in order to proceed or go further with this tutorial, we need to discover asteroids in the asteroid belt. You can just about make out the dots over there. They are actually all around us in this cloud, but we basically just want to get to the nearest ones. So switch your generator on, switch your cruise button on, and press shift. Now you need to remember which origin station you're coming from. If you look behind you, you can see the station there. The name of it, Origin 1 in my case. So you want to remember that. It doesn't really matter which origin station you go to, but for the sake of simplicity while you're learning, it's better to stick to the same one. So you can see it actually wants us to go down there, so we're going to point down. I'm hoping it's asking us to go there because it knows there are asteroids there, but I have to say I doubt it. So we've got somewhere in the region of 13,000 kilometers to, 13,000 meters to go, and that's going to take a little while, so I'll bring you back when we get there. Okay, welcome back. We have just arrived. Now, your way to stop your ship, you can either drag that down to 0, or the easiest way is to take off cruise, and your ship will stop for you. Now what you're looking for is rocks, and as you can see, I think that may be a ship up there actually. There's not many around. That's definitely a ship down there. So you want to have a little fly around. They do obviously respawn at a certain rate, but because there are so many players in at the moment, most of the rocks have already been taken. So I'm just going to have a quick look around. If we can see anything. And we can't. I think that's definitely a ship up there. So what we're going to do is we'll put cruise back on and we'll accelerate off to one side. So that's your throttle there, that lever. You can operate all these levers manually if you want to, up and down, left and right, roll and so forth and so on, but it's a lot easier with the keys once you get kind of used to them. Maybe a rock or two over there, I think. We can go that way. The fact that there's a ship there means they've probably been mined, but we might be lucky. We'll go to these a little bit further away from the ship. Very difficult to judge which is forwards because you can move the mouse independently of the ship, so it's kind of tricky, but you do get used to it after a little while. So I'm going to take cruise off, come to a halt. Now we can either just use the cursor keys. I use left and up. We can diagonally strafe up to that one and look at it so you can see us moving, or you can just turn and face it and head towards it in the safe zone. That shouldn't be a problem. Get a little bit closer. There we go. So make sure you come to a stop, cruise is off, switch off your generator to save fuel, hit your seat, and you're out. So connect to your ship, get your mining tool, and start chopping. So usefully it tells you what ore that is. It wants you to mine enough to fill all 8 of your ship storage. You can see it's going up at a fair rate here. Now if this doesn't collect the ore as you're hacking away at it, which happened to me on the first occasion, if you open your inventory you can see in the middle here you've got automatic collecting. If that's off, then when you hit the ore, it'll just sit there. So you need to come into your inventory, make sure that's checked, and then it'll suck the ore in for you. Okay, so we're still only 3 of 8. I'm not too bothered what ore I get at the moment, so I'm actually going to just chop away at the shell. You can see what ore you're getting in your inventory. This is your connected containers here, and you can see we've got 8 of them, so it wants us to fill all 8. So those 2 are the same mineral. This one is a full stack, this one is not quite full. Again, that's a full stack, this one's only half full. So you can just keep hacking away at it. Okay, so we've got 2 full stacks of that. Got a tiny little bit of this. We'll probably be getting more of this, but if you decide you want to free up that slot because it's only a little bit of a stack, just drag that out, drop it to the side there, and then it leaves this brick in space forevermore. You can't do anything with the bricks except play football, so don't worry about them, just leave them there for somebody else to fly into. Okay, you don't need to disconnect, just jump back into your seat and find the next asteroid, which looks as if it's down there. Now you notice I haven't switched on the generator is still off, so keep your eye on my battery as I accelerate towards these. You can see the battery dropping as we go, but we're still able to fly perfectly happily. Now you won't be able to fly very far on just batteries, but for moving about in an asteroid field, that's quite a good way of doing it, because the batteries will recharge when we hit the generator button and go back in to sell the ores, so you're going to get that power back anyway. If, like here, it's a bit dark and the sun is kind of in the wrong place, press the N key, will switch on your flashlight, and then you can see what you're doing. Okay, so new mineral Valkite and Bastium. Now, I'm going to use a lot of Bastium, so it's worth remembering this gold-coloured ore. Again, at the moment, because I've already collected a lot of ores, there we go, we're already full. Because I've already collected a lot of ores, I'm just going to grab the shell of this, but in most cases, unless you know that you're going to need it, if you have a stack of it or a couple of stacks of it in your station inventory, that's more than enough. Right, you can see it's stopped picking it up now, and if we check our inventory, you can see that we are in fact full. That's Valkite there. We only left 1 slot for it. If we find another asteroid, something more useful, I could dump that. But this Bastium is very useful for crafting. They're all useful for crafting, but particularly in the early stages you'll use a lot of that. And you can see we only got a little bit of a stack of that, so if we do find some more, we have got room to pick it up. Okay, so back to our ship. And I seem to remember there was another one. Yeah, I think it was above us. Try and get it in front of us somewhere. Just use the batteries. Use them gently, because once the ship gets going it does take a little time to stop, and you really, although in the safe zone it doesn't matter, you'd kind of better off avoiding crashing into them, or at least try and get used to flying around them without crashing into them. Okay, so you can see we can't pick that up now, because this stack is, well, it's not actually full, but we could ditch the Valkite and collect the rest of that, and I think in this instance I probably would, but also this Agitite, I haven't seen much of a use for that, and we've got a full stack there, so I'm going to drop that. In fact, before I do, I'm just going to move out of the way, so that it doesn't drop it right where I want to work. So now I can pick up more of that, because I've made a room in the crate. And I think we're full of that now. Yeah, again, it hasn't quite filled the stack, which is a little bit annoying, but obviously 1 lump is too much. So in order to fill that completely, we would have to have another spare slot, and we could chuck the Cherodium ore out. But I'm going to keep that because I did sell a load of that recently. If you lose your ship, just look for the yellow line and you'll find it soon enough. Again, you can stay connected to that, doesn't matter. And we're going to need the generator, but let's first find the station. So conveniently in the tutorial, it shows you where the station is. But once you complete the tutorial, all you've got is the names. So if you can't see it, and you can't find a position that you can look in to see the name, you're kind of stuffed. So I'm hoping there will be some improvement to that at some point. We do have a transponder down here. No idea how that works, but I'm assuming it draws power in order to show the location of your ship, and it's probably a good idea to have that switched on, but I've yet to use that. We'll leave it on for now. So, back towards the station, just 16.5 kilometers away, and save me holding the button down, we'll engage cruise. So I'll see you when we get there. Okay, here we are, arriving at the station. Now, I will point out that in the top here it does say return to a station with minerals, not necessarily the station with minerals. And I believe that the station inventory is the same for all stations, so it doesn't matter which station you're at, you will always access the same inventory, which is kind of handy. Especially as the stations seem to fill from the day the game was released from number 1 upwards. So if you were to go to, I think 30 is probably the latest, the largest one, then probably you would have an easier time of things. Okay, now I'm just going to stop here because we've joined the, you can see in the bottom left here, we've joined the station channel as opposed to the zone chat channel. So by that we would hope we can now connect to our station storage. And we can move all of these into station storage, which does, by the way, seem to be unlimited. Not quite sure what the unlimited, whether it's just a very, very large storage or whether it is completely unlimited. I've not heard anybody mention that they'd filled it yet. So it wants us to, it wants us to return over there, which means getting a bit closer yet. Wrong button. Now, these buttons are really annoying. They are not at all intuitive, and it's going to take quite some time for you to figure out either where they are, which buttons to press, or some kind of a mapping that works for you. There are in the region of 4 pages. In fact, I can just wait for this to finish updating. Okay. Yes, if I go into settings for the game, you will see in controls, you start with mouse sensitivity. I play inverted mouse, and as you scroll down here, or not, because the game has frozen. So this is actually a very, very good example of the kind of problem you're going to encounter. It's early alpha, so you're going to have to expect a lot of bugs, but these hard crashes, as you can see the game is just completely crashed, they are really annoying, because it means that if you're in the middle of some important part of the tutorial, you're going to have to do it all over again. Now, fortunately we are kind of at the end of this little bit, so I think we'll be okay, but if you bear with me, I will be back once I've rebooted the game. And welcome back. So after a quick reboot, which included reloading Steam, because every time the game crashes for some reason it closes down Steam, we're now back in the controls menu, and as I was showing you, I play inverted mouse. You have got an enormous number of controls, most of which currently are not mapped, can be mapped if you want them to be, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And that's a lot of buttons to remember to play a game. I do hope at some point they're able to find a better way of configuring this to make it a little bit more intuitive and a little bit less arduous. But that's probably going to be for much later on. Now, I've switched my generator off because you may remember I didn't when I came to a stop. I didn't want my fuel rods running out. But that down there under my cursor now is the easy build hangar. You can see it pointing me to there, and that's where it wants me to go next in order to craft some things. Crafting things will give me research points. Research points give me the ability to research things and progress in the game. But just for future reference, while we're here, if you should be in a position where, like me, your ship gets removed from the game and you need to start over, look for these two, well, in my case 01, in your case it may well be a different station. There are lots of them around. Where there's another one over there. So look for the two numerical pads there, and obviously on that side is just a big black blob. However, on this side you'll see there is this this D-shaped building. Call it a D-shaped building. Well, it's kind of D-shaped. That's the command center, and if your ship gets removed from the game and you end up shipless, go back to the command center there, fly, walk, whichever way you can, and when you get there it should tell you that you've qualified for another starter ship. But remember, you can only have 10. I don't know what you would do if you run out after 10. You're probably going to have to mail support, but yeah, that's the way that is. So we're going to put the generator on because this is a bit of a flight, and we're going to try to navigate our way into the Easy Build Center. Again, the controls are a little tricky, so when I get somewhere close I'm going to just align myself. There we go. And then strafe downwards with the down arrow key. Attempt to level myself out. Now you see those little blue things again? If you're inside one of those, do not log out. It doesn't really matter which one you go into, they are all instances, so as soon as you enter it, you'll... Okay. That's not really what I wanted to do. Right. I think maybe somebody knocked me, flew into me, I'm not sure what happened there, but well, hey, I think we're here anyway. Yeah. So, when you're in one of these easy build things, do not land. If you land your ship, then it won't see it as being within the area that you need to be in. So switch your generator off, jump out of the seat and unplug yourself. And then your ship should be somewhat straight. As you can see, mine is nowhere near straight. Right, what I'm doing there is I'm pressing the G key, sorry, the Q key, G key. If you point at a surface, any surface, and press the Q key, you will align yourself to that surface. So I can align myself to that one, for instance. Clearly not what I want, so I can align myself to the floor. Just keep pressing the key and that will align you nicely. Now, we appear to be upside down. That's not a good thing, so let's just correct that. And then strafe down. Lift the nose up a little bit, I think. Very, very difficult to see when you're actually flat. There's no key that you can press that will just level you out, which would be kind of neat. Okay, so make sure your generator is off. This may take some time. And as you can see, there are lots of people here, but we're the only ones in this instance. So make sure your ship is within the bounds of this dotted line here. And we're still a bit high. Should be okay. Okay, so it said rewards added to our inventory. We have automatically entered easy build mode, which is the full stop key. And you can get rid of that message, but I actually leave it there because there's no other way of knowing. So, didn't see any bit here that told us what to do next in terms of to build it or not. You can see if we're close to our ship here, just make sure we are close to our ship. In the top left hand corner it says new ship, and it allows you, if you click on this, it allows you to edit that. So I'm going to call it my first starter and press enter. Make sure you press enter so that this icon comes back and you haven't got the red cross there, and then click on the little disk button and that hopefully will save it. I don't think that disk button is working actually, but invariably it will lose the name anyway at the moment. So back to the ship. Right, I think the bit that we missed is the bit that says to craft a couple of cargo boxes, and because I've already crafted some, I already have them in my inventory, I think it's to jump past that. It says we've got two, so I don't need to drag two of them down there. The same icon will work for both. And then we press number 5, and you can rotate it with the mouse button, and you're looking for somewhere for it to fit. Now, initially it doesn't seem to want to fit anywhere, so we need to enable snapping mode, which if you remember was the C key for you, and I've remapped mine to the hash key, and as you can see it just doesn't want to fit anywhere. So it shows us green and it says yeah, I'll go there, but it won't. You can try flipping it. You can try flipping it into different axes to put it in different places, but it just completely refuses to go on. So don't know what's going on there. A lot of people have reported the same problem. I'm rotating it, by the way, with the X, Y and the Z keys. Again, should just clip into place, same as the fuel rod did, but it doesn't want to do it. So just for the sake of thoroughness, I want to call it that, let's press F to despawn that. What I'm going to do is I will transfer, no, it's already transferred the ores by the look of it, which is odd because I didn't do that. So it's either lost the ores that I've just collected or it's automatically transferred them. And as you can see, I've got a few anyway. So if you come down, you have to be fairly close to this crafting bench, but you don't actually use it, you just press H, and that allows you to craft things. So in basic ship models, we want to go down to cargo, and you can see these cargo boxes, block of 4 ore crates. That's what it wanted us to craft. I have a feeling the last time I crafted the Z ones, which you can mount upside down, but it didn't like that either. And later on you unlock these, and as you can see I can craft the individual ones. That is just 1, and this is 4. So we'll craft a block of 4 and we'll see whether it will then allow us to place that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you're in this private instance you do not want to log out. So if your game crashes and you have to relog, there's a very good chance your ship will not be there when you come back in. In which case, check your inventory, go to ships and see if it's still there. It needs to be called Labourer Module, although realistically that should have changed now because I've renamed it. If it's not there and you just have this easy build ship rubbish, then you're kind of screwed and you're going to have to do the tutorial again to get another ship. Hopefully it will be there. You can go to one of the spawn pads and spawn it in, come back to easy build, carry on where you left off. Okay, so I want to get rid of these 2 of my inventory. I'm going to organize those like that so that hopefully any new ones will be on the end there, and we're just waiting for this to finish off crafting. We're nearly there now. Okay, so once that's finished crafting, we can then go to our inventory. It's for some reason put that one back, so we can then, yeah, the description is identical, so there's no actual way of knowing which is the newest one. We'll assume it's the one on the end. We'll drag that into there. Identical to the others because it now says we've got 3 of them. So, you want to come up. I have no idea what that is there. Somebody's throwing bits around, presumably. So, again, to get your hotbar back, just press tab, and then tab again. You can see what's on the hotbar. We want number 5. And we want to enable snapping. It seems to make a double click. I think if it makes a double click, you kind of... No, it's not going to work. If it makes a single click, there's a better chance it will. I'm getting some terrible lag here, so I don't know quite what's going on. I think possibly the lag does not help things. And certainly all the debris lying about like this does not help things. But I'm trying to see whether I'm anywhere close where it should go. So we're just in on the right, just in on the back there. Okay, so if we're somewhere close and we tell it to snap, at that point it should be clicking into the only place it can click, and as you can see it's just not doing it. So Frozen Bytes, you need to work on this game because at the moment, the way it isn't really playable. I'm sorry to say. It has a lot of potential, and I hope it goes somewhere, and I hope you work on it, but at the moment, it's a little disappointing. So, I'm going to leave it at that point. I'm going to wait for some updates and some hot fixes. It won't let you get into the ship, by the way, because you're in easy build mode, so come out of easy build mode, press full stop, and then you can get in your ship. Make sure you move your ship outside somewhere. It doesn't actually matter if it says your ship will despawn. All this rubbish, no wonder I was getting lag. Okay, so now that it thinks we've done what we were supposed to be doing, I'll come back to that thought, it wants us to research. But yeah, you can see it says press despawn to despawn your ship. The ship will be automatically despawned in 588 seconds unless you leave the area. So you can either fly out of the area and log out and hope that your ship is safe. It usually is, by the way. Switch the generator off. It usually is perfectly safe to leave it here because you're the only one that can access it unless you've given permission. So in your, I think it's your social, you can add people to your group and that will allow them access to your things if you let them. And you can even make a company. You can add friends, etc. But the way things are, with no friends and no members of the group, nobody else can actually access the ship. However, if you remember, it is on auto despawn. So the generator is off. I will tell it to despawn anyway. There we go. And that should store the ship somewhere safe. And then to get it back again, I will just go to a spawn zone. Any of these big L's will allow you to spawn it back in again. Okay, so just very briefly then, research. Press the K button, go into research, and follow the tree, whatever direction you wish to take. Those are the points you've got available to spend. And when you mouse over each one, you have to go down the chain obviously. You mouse over each one, it tells you need 300. I can actually unlock that now, but I'm not sure I need Windows just yet, so I won't. That one I think I've unlocked, although it does look dark. And so it goes on. So as you go down further down the tree, items get more and more expensive, bigger and better, as the saying goes. But you're going to need a lot of research points. And the way you make those research points is by crafting things on a crafting bench. So there we go, that's all I've got for you today. It's a shame the tutorial broke, but I'm not the first person that's had it happen. I've spoken to a few people where the same thing happens, it just refuses to let you add things to the ship, and if you do manage to add them, it refuses to let you take them off again. So I really hope Frozen Bytes get on with it, get some bug fixing done. In my opinion, my uneducated opinion, the game should never have been released to the public in this state. People are getting disenchanted with the game. There is a lot of hate going on, a lot of refunding going on from people who've bought it and are not willing to put up with the bugs. I'm going to sit back and wait and hope that the game at least receives some fixes and some debris clearance as well, because all of this is not helping performance issues. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. If it was, please leave a comment down below. Remember, I'm no expert. I'm just another guy who bought the game. And what I've told you, and the experience I've shared with you, is what I've learned so far in the game. There's a lot more to learn. It's a very complex game. But I will try to answer questions if you want to ask in the comments. If you like this video, please click the like button. It helps me enormously. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care now. Bye bye.